Mile high salute, Broncos country, man. It is that time of year. It's kind of a bittersweet time. Broncos have began their roster cut downs. They got to go from 90 players down to 53. And they started a day early because there's some key veterans and there's some, pretty surprising reports coming out of Denver. We'll break into it. We'll talk about what that means for the team in the short term and what it means moving forward to the rest of the season as well. Guys, if it's your first time tuning in, I appreciate it. Check some of the other videos out. If you guys are big Denver sports fans, you love NFL football as a whole, and you're a fantasy into fantasy some football, then I think that you're gonna love some of the content we got on this channel. All raw, uncut, unedited videos coming to you live. You'll get the full reaction. So I appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. It'll really, really help me out. So much appreciated, guys, in advance. All right, guys, let's get right into it, right? Let's get right into it. So the Broncos have released and waived several players, right? They'll starting from the top, cornerback Art Green, punter Trenton Gill. Shout out to Riley Dixon for winning that competition. Philip Dorsett, Caleb Hayes, Alec Mock, Oliver Jervis, Andre Smith, Omar Brown, and Angelo Blackson. This one to me was a little bit surprising for me. I think he could be a practice squad candidate. I hope he is because he brings um, a unique skill set and unique depth to this line. But we'll see. So otherwise, everyone on this list, not a shock at all. But here was the big one, guys. The Broncos will trade or release veteran wide receiver Tim Patrick. And the same is going for Samaje Perine. I actually did hear some reports that they're looking to potentially try and trade Trenton Gill as well. I don't know if that'll happen, but those are some of the reports that we've got coming out. Guys, what does this mean? What does this mean for the team? I'm not gonna lie. I definitely did not see the Tim Patrick release coming. I don't know why I didn't really think about it. Maybe it's because I already knew that they were going to pay him. They had to pay him, $7.5 or $8 million, regardless of what happens this year. And so I figured, by him restructuring his contract, the kind of veteran presence that he has in the locker room, and really the leadership that he can bring to this team, I thought he was a lock to make this team, especially after he kind of showed out a little bit in the Green Bay game. Here's the thing, guys, when you kind of take a step back and you think about it. First of all, if we're able to trade him, we're able to trade Samaje or both and get some picks out of it, that makes it very valuable. But my logic is here, guys. This is exactly what I've been talking about in almost every video in the past. When it talks about when we're specifically focusing on the wide receivers, I said that this room is intriguing, but I wasn't a big fan of it because I felt like all the untapped potential was being blocked and hindered by these veteran players that we kind of feel like hit their ceiling and we know a lot about. And those two are obviously Sutton and Patrick. Now I talked a lot about, you know, uh, being an advocate of trading Sutton, getting rid of him and getting what you can. And the main reasons for that was because I felt like he was the only guy in the receiver room that you could actually get a decent return on your investment. So like a decent draft pick, maybe a third or a fourth rounder. But you're also going to have some really good salary cap implications, right? You're going to be able to save quite a bit of money on the cap. Whereas with Patrick, I don't think they're going to be able to get anything for him on the trade block. And regardless, they're paying him the money. So there was more intrigue on that front. But now that this is kind of cleared up, and I really do believe that the reason for this move obviously has to do with the young talent behind him, but specifically Devon Vele. I think Devon Vele, when he started showing up and showing out in camp, and he had a little bit of an injury and he came back and played a little bit in the last game. The, the Broncos front office must feel very confident in this kid. He's somebody that they feel like can play in that Tim Patrick role. He's a big physical receiver. He can body guys out. He's obviously younger, doesn't have, two season-ending injuries that he's just coming back from. And I think that they feel very confident in him. That was a big one. Another one obviously was Josh Reynolds being able to just be so versatile, right, in that room. But what this does overall, guys, is now players like Troy Franklin, like Marvin Mims, maybe Brandon Johnson. Hopefully, that's my guy, or whatever other receivers might make this team. They can actually develop. They can get the necessary reps to be able to get comfortable, get their feet wet, and be able to become better players, especially as the season goes on. I was just listening to Andrew Mason Ace talked about it, and he said it perfectly. He said it perfectly, and I couldn't agree with him. This move is not a move that will make the Broncos receivers or the Broncos offense as a whole look better on paper or even be better week 1. But it's a move that could definitely pay dividends and make us look better in week 12, in week 13, right? Now, I get it. This Broncos team needs to get off to a fast start if we want to have any kind of aspirations of making a playoff push. But I think it's really important for Bronco fans to remember a playoff run would be amazing. Do I think it can happen? Yes. Do I think that it's a better than 50% chance that they make the playoffs? Absolutely not. I don't. I think that this is a year that is going to be a very exciting year for football fans, for Bronco fans specifically to watch. I think they're going to go into next offseason with a lot of hope from it. And they could be one of those teams that, again, plays really well at the stretch and gets a lot of questions answered. Because you think about it, guys, if the Broncos went into next offseason, let's say let's just say for, you know, we'll assume that Sutton, Patrick, and Josh Reynolds all play a majority, if not all, of the 17 games. You go into next year, you don't know if Marvin Mims is going to be good. There's all question marks. You don't know if Troy Franklin's going to develop anything. It's all question marks. You've got a whole bunch of question marks. You've got, Tim Patrick, who would be an unrestricted free agent. You've got Cortland Sutton, who would be a UFA next year. Um, and then you've got, Reynolds on 1 year deal. And then there's a lot of question marks at that point. So this allows for a lot of those question marks to not only be answered during the season, but a lot of these guys to be developed. Thirdly, guys, like I said, it's a very deep room. This is a room that I love. I'm really intrigued by. I know people are getting frustrated with Marvin Mims, or they're like, "Oh, he hasn't really done anything in camp." But guys, don't deny the talent, right? Everybody was always talking about, "Oh my God, Jerry Judy, this is the year. This is the year Jerry Judy's going to break out. He's killing everybody in camp." The game showed up. He didn't do anything. Marvin Mims, kind of on the flip side, he kind of looked a little bit better in the games than he has in practice. We don't know what he's going to be until he gets legitimate opportunity, and this is just going to give him more of that. And also Devon Vele too, man. Who knows if this guy, you know, he could be he could be a really, really, really impactful player in year 1, just because of where he's projected to be and kind of the reports coming out of camp. So it's super interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. But I think it's the right move. It's a move that I've been kind of pounding the table for a while now because I want to see this young talent get developed. It's also nice because in the last game, I saw obviously Brandon Johnson made a lot of plays, but man, shout out to Michael Bandy. Michael Bandy looked really good last game. David Sills had a couple really sweet catches, and he looks really athletic. And I think he's probably the favorite of those three to make this team, just based off of something that Kliss said. Right? Sometimes my Kliss might give you a little bit of a hanging fruit when you really look into it. And I'm gonna go find it verbatim here for you all real quick, just to see what you guys think about it. Where is it? But he had definitely made sure that he mentioned something. Oh yeah, right here. So he had said, "Oh my God, now it's gone." Wonderful. Sorry guys, this is all happening obviously in real time. Um, It's even with Tim Patrick moving on, the Broncos wide receiver position appears to look like this for the 53. Sutton, Reynolds, Mims, Troy Franklin, he said Troy Parker, Devon Vele, and one of these three. He said Lil Jordan Humphrey, David Sills, or Brandon Johnson, right? And then he had deleted a tweet before, I believe, because I know I saw it, and I'm hoping that somebody can see it. He had talked something along the lines of um, David Sills is like being an intriguing player because of his ability to, you know, to play multiple roles, not just offensively, but also on special teams. So we'll see how that's going to shake out. But overall, guys, I love the room, and I want to know what you guys think. Certainly below in the comments. Everything else in terms of the news coming out today, not super surprising. I think the only news that we might hear for the rest of the evening, if any, will be if one of these trades go through. Some of the reports for Samaje Perine talk about there's there's quite a bit of teams that are interested in him. I'm not surprised by that because there's teams that are always looking for a veteran solid back that's a three down back that can play in all three roles. And an interesting question is though, even though we've seen this coming, who is going to be the Broncos third down back? Who's going to take the Samaje Perine role? And by all indications right now, it does seem like that's going to be Julian McLaughlin. I don't know how he is in pass pro. Anybody that does or has any kind of film about it, I don't even know how many opportunities he's gotten in the game. But if anybody has any film of Julio McLaughlin, in pass pro, holla at your boy. But I did hear some reports of them utilizing Blake Watson in that role because Blake Watson is, a very good runner. He's a good pass catcher, and he actually has a little bit more experience and a little bit more size to be a pass blocker. I'll tell you this too, man. It wouldn't be surprised me if it was Audric Estimate because Estimate, I've seen him lay some people out in the NFL, like in preseason games, as a pass blocker too. But I don't know how. I think the way that Sean Payton wants this running back room to work is to have two main guys and not three, like it was last year. So let me know what you guys think about the running back room as well, man. I would love to know you guys' opinion. But until then, guys, let me know what you guys think about the cuts. What do you want to see happening? One last note that I will say, I after further review, after rewatching the game a couple times, looking at how they were switching up the offensive lines, and every game it seemed like it was a different combo. To me, that tells me that they're not very confident in the depth of this O line. They love the starting five. They might like Matt Pert, maybe, but I think the Broncos are going to be looking to maybe the trade market or once all these players begin getting released, maybe adding somebody there, a backup tackle, a backup guard, maybe even a backup center. But it seems like I just get this vibe that they're not really happy with that. So keep an eye out for that as well. Guys, I appreciate y'all. Remember to take care of yourself, man, and spend time with those people that you love the most. And until next time, as always, Mile High Salute and Broncos Country.